In November 1932, the Australian government went to war. Not with a country, with birds. It sent soldiers. It sent 2 machine guns. It sent 10,000 rounds of ammunition. 6 weeks later, the army went home, and the birds were still standing in the wheat. That's the story everyone knows. Here's the part the joke quietly leaves out. The emus did not win. After the First World War, Australia handed marginal land in Western Australia to returning veterans and told them to grow wheat on it. It went badly. Then the Depression arrived, wheat prices collapsed, and the subsidies the government had promised did not. And then, in the spring of 1932, roughly 20,000 emus finished their breeding season and wandered inland, directly into the wheat belt, which, from an emu's point of view, was an all-you-can-eat buffet where somebody had already broken the fences. The farmers were ex-soldiers, so they knew exactly what to ask for and exactly who to ask. They went to the Minister of Defense and requested machine guns. Astonishingly, he said yes. Major G.P.W. Meredith of the Royal Australian Artillery arrived with 2 Lewis guns, 10,000 rounds, and 2 soldiers. November 2nd, first contact. About 50 emus, spotted at distance. The gunners opened fire, and the birds immediately split into small scattered groups and ran. Out of range. Nothing. 2 days later, the men tried an ambush at a dam. This time, 1,000 emus walked straight into it. The gun jammed after about 12 birds. What Meredith reported next has been quoted ever since. The emus, he observed, appeared to move in small units, each one with a large black plumed bird that stood watch while the rest fed and signaled when to run. After roughly 2,500 rounds, the estimated body count was somewhere between 50 and 500. Nobody could agree which. Meredith's assessment of the enemy is the single most famous thing about this entire episode. If he had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, he said, it would face any army in the world. The operation was called off, then restarted under pressure from the farmers. By early December, the official figure was 986 emus killed, using 9,860 rounds, 10 bullets per bird. On the 10th of December, the army went home for good. The newspapers had an excellent time. The farmers asked for the guns again in 1934, and again in 1943, and again in 1948, and were refused every time. So the government tried something considerably less cinematic. It offered a bounty, a cash payment for every emu beak brought in. It worked immediately. In 1934, over 6 months, farmers claimed 57,034 bounties. Which is the bit the meme drops. Australia lost a war to birds is a genuinely great joke, and it is doing an enormous amount of work to conceal a very ordinary story. A government reached for a dramatic tool, the tool was wrong for the job, and it swapped to a boring one that worked. The emus didn't defeat anyone. They outran 2 machine guns for 6 weeks, and were then killed by the tens of thousands by men with clipboards. The war was lost by the artillery. It was not won by the emus. Major Meredith's final report noted that his side sustained no casualties, which, considering his opponents were flightless birds, does read like the sort of thing you only write down because somebody asked.